This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast. It's time for the mailbag. It's time for the listeners to take things over, hand the baton to you guys, and see what you've been thinking about over the last week as we head towards Backlash in 3 weeks. So we're going to dive into that, and let's do that right now as we jump into our first patron. And it's Miller, and he says, "How is it, Matt? I enjoyed the After Dark topic and think you can follow up on it. With us patrons sending in some questions for you, wrestling related, serious, or dirty, would you rather go in the ring on live TV and share personal details, about Vince McMahon, or share the darkest secret about yourself? Or seeing as an explicit episode, would you rather take a stink face from Rikishi or Mae Young? Stuff like that. Keep on." Well, Miller, those are all very interesting suggestions. And I actually would encourage you, if you are a patron of the show, to send me suggestions for this After Dark podcast that I have revived. And they're only about 15 minutes or so, but I go off topic, and there's no filter, there's no censorship. It's only on Patreon. You won't find it anywhere else. If you are on the SmackDown tier and higher, it's available to you. But Miller, those are interesting. Off the top of my head, if I was to choose between sharing my darkest secret about myself on live TV in the ring, or take a stink face from Rikishi or Mae Young, I don't have a... Well, everyone's got secrets, right? And I've come to the conclusion that we're all effed up, like all of us, everyone within the sound of my voice, we are all effed up together. The difference is between us is we've all got our specialty in being effed up, right? And how well can you hide it from the general public or your significant other? Or maybe you share it with your significant other. They know how screwed up you are. But from everyone else, you kind of hide those things from everyone. And because I very much doubt that there's anybody listening to this or that is a human being that isn't effed up in some way. Trust me, I am. But would I like to share exactly how I'm screwed up? On live TV, probably not. So I guess if I was to choose, Miller, with all of that said, probably take a stink face from Rikishi. Why? As gross as that is, it doesn't last long, and you can wash your face off, right? You can get soap, you can disinfect yourself, and the smell will go away, and you can metaphorically and actually physically get rid of the stink. Whereas if you reveal your darkest secrets, well, things are out in the open, right? And you don't know what that's going to result in months, years down the line. Who knows, right? You can't ever undo that. So that's just my quick thought. And again, guys, I love the suggestions. There is no topic off limits when it comes to that show. Okay, that's why it's called After Dark. It is absolutely an adult show. So put the women and children to bed, so to speak. So, all right. Thanks, Miller. Appreciate it. And I saw your picks, by the way, for WrestleMania. You did pretty damn good. But, unfortunately, you didn't run the table. But there were 13 matches, right? So you did the best you could. Not bad. You chose Bobby Lashley in the Battle Royal. You got that right. You got Sammy and KO, Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. You did pretty damn good. Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Dominic, you did not get, but I think you got like a 75 or 80% correctness. So good job. All right. Let's get to our next patron, Cam G. And Cam says, "Don't know if you noticed, during the WWE Then, Now, Forever, or Together Forever intro, when you hear the Ric Flair woo, then you hear The Rock If You Smell, then the King of Kings and You Can't See Me. Well, the Monday after WrestleMania, they added Acknowledge Me before the King of Kings and You Can't See Me. Something I thought was dope and instantly noticed. And did you happen to see my opinion on why I think Roman will hold for the 1,000-day record. Well, I did not notice that. It maybe my subconscious did. I'm not going to pretend I did. So good job on the detail of Roman being added to the intro. He's absolutely deserving of it. And I think that is telling. While it's a small detail, it's telling of where they view Roman right now, on that same level as Austin and Rock and Cena and Flair. That's rarefied air. And Roman is in rarefied air. And here's the best part, guys. We have only seen the best of his heel work, which is not done. And I think it's at least got a year left of tread on the tire. Maybe more, but probably around a year is when, post WrestleMania 40 is probably when we're looking at, the flip to having Roman be a babyface, which, imagine that success. I think he could be likely as successful as he is as a heel, as a babyface, because this time they have a foundation to build on. They actually have the fans connected with the character, unlike last time. So the babyface character of Roman Reigns as the tribal chief needs to be well thought out, but I think it's going to be as successful. So we haven't even seen the half of it yet, which is crazy, right? So Roman, especially if he keeps this schedule, has got a long way to go. It's kind of the Edge schedule. It's the Brock Lesnar type schedule where you don't appear every week. It makes fans angry, especially if you're champion, and I understand that. But it also allows your body to heal. It keeps your mind right. You're able to spend time with family. And Roman Reigns has earned that. So if wrestlers are jealous about that or angry about that, Roman's earned it. All right. So that said, though, back to your comment, Cam. I did not see why you think Roman will hold it for the 1,000 days. If you did, provide that to me on email or something. Resend it. I haven't looked at my email yet, so it's always a surprise when I'm live on the show here. So if you did, though, resend it, and I'd love to be able to respond to it on air about your reasoning for 1,000 days. All right, so that wraps up the patron part. Well, you guys who sent it to me on Patreon. We do, of course, have another patron or two who have emailed us here. And let's just dive into Mr. DJ Kuzmo. He says, hello, WWE and AEW family. This is DJ Kuzmo. He's back at it again on our Mailbag show. Can you not hear him saying it? I know I do a terrible impression. And the new women's tag team champions are who? Seriously, though, I did not expect the women's tag team titles to change hands on free TV. No offense to Liv and Raquel, but the Trish heel turn and the who attacked Lita backstage was the main focal point of the show. Plus, a couple of weeks ago, it seemed like Liv and Raquel were tethering on feuding against each other. Anyway, congratulations for winning the women's tag team titles in a division that is non-existent. I'm just being sarcastic. Well, no, you're not being sarcastic. That's reality, man. There is no women's tag team division, at least most of the time. They can throw single stars together that have nothing better going on and call them a tag team. Fine, by definition, they are. So currently, sure, they have a skeleton tag team division. Now, I'm not surprised that they had the women's tag team titles change hands on free TV. I guess not that I'm surprised by who won it. And I thought Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey were going to interfere and attack Lita and Becky to set up a match at Backlash. That obviously didn't happen. And maybe they're building that for SummerSlam or even a bigger show, which is cool with me. But, we shouldn't be surprised that the women's tag team titles changed hands. I mean, let's be honest, the women's tag team titles are probably the titles that WWE values the least based on the historical treatment of the belts. So, I mean, it doesn't happen often with the women's tag belts, but they've exchanged much more prestigious championships on free TV, and they give away title matches like it's it's a dollar or a dime a dozen, right? So anyway, back to the Trish heel turn. It's a good call by creative. This can hopefully lead to a Trish versus Becky match at Backlash and maybe a Lita versus Trish match at SummerSlam. Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, Lita and Trish have been, quote, besties forever, even though they had a great program back in the day. I don't know. Lita versus Trish in 2023, it's definitely possible given what happened on Raw with the mysterious attack on Lita that we thought was maybe their opponents, or it was Becky or Shayna. I don't think it was. We don't know who the true assailant is, but you, by just watching the show, assume it's Trish. So you may get the Trish Lita match, But it certainly does seem also like Trish versus Becky 1-on-1 is on the way, and it could come as soon as Backlash. Wait a minute. Cody saying WrestleMania Backlash. Are you friggin' kidding me? Man, there's no need to say that. Oh my God, please, Cody, don't say that again. Yeah, that when he said that, I'm thinking, is he just trying to be the smartest guy in the room and remind management that this event's actually called WrestleMania Backlash, and trying to, I don't know, endear himself to management because management may have forgotten. I mean, I don't know, but Cody's the only one that said it. Everyone else, including the graphics, everything else says just Backlash. So I'm going to go with that and just chalk it up to either suck it up to management or just more likely a slip of the tongue by Cody. Now on to the draft. Since Triple H mentioned this past Friday about the future being a WWE draft coming soon, here are 5 wrestlers from SmackDown that might get drafted to Raw and 5 that might get drafted to SmackDown. So here are your 5 that you have being drafted from Raw to SmackDown. Seth Rollins, number 1. Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with this. I think now there is somewhat of a clear path to get back to Roman Reigns. I don't see why that Seth couldn't get back to SmackDown and revisit their feud. Absolutely. Roman is a pillar of SmackDown. If you don't think the Fox executives have a say in who they want on the show, they do. And they want Roman Reigns because he is a ratings draw right now. And Seth Rollins and Roman, I don't think have had a proper program, and they have a lot of loose ends to tie up, and they always work well together, and there's no better time to strike. Absolutely. This to me is a slam dunk. Number 2, Bobby Lashley. If Bobby Lashley's on his own and not trying to be back with whatever version of the new look Hurt Business, I don't see why that Bobby gets drafted, why he doesn't get drafted to SmackDown. He could be one of the new opponents that's credible for Roman to feud against, or even this Gunther. What about Gunther if he stays on SmackDown, right? Number 3, Bayley. It looks like Damage Control is due for a breakup, and this could possibly be a babyface heel turn, or I'm sorry, babyface heel turn, a Bayley face turn in the near future, so why not have her get drafted to SmackDown? It's been almost 2 years since she was officially on the SmackDown roster, and not too long ago that she was a face. Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, I don't mind that. The thing is, if you're trying to get to Charlotte Bayley, that feels like it's been a hot minute too, and you got to have one of them heel. And I don't know. I mean, Charlotte was MIA this past week. I like that as well. I think Bayley on SmackDown is a good fit. Number 4, Chad Gable. The Alpha Academy are at some point getting split up this year since Otis has been involved with Maxine and Maximum Male Models. Plus, a babyface Chad Gable is long overdue, and he could be in a feud against Gunther or even Roman. Yeah, I think Chad Gable could do all of those things you're mentioning, but I don't think it's ever going to be taken seriously by management and or the WWE fans because they kind of know where WWE has defined him is cemented in. He'll be a fun hand. He can have a great match with anybody. Is an actual pure athlete, right? But they don't look at him at all as somebody that's a true contender for a top belt. I mean, they just don't, which I think is a mistake. But number 5, Johnny Gargano. I think it's time for him to move to SmackDown. He's been a non-factor on Raw, and his booking has been inconsistent. And since Raw doesn't have a strong mid-card like SmackDown, yeah, Johnny Gargano's been unlikable and in a very awkward spot on Raw. Absolutely. All right, so here are your 5 going from SmackDown to Raw. Drew. I think it's time for Drew to move back to Raw. He's been on SmackDown for almost 2 years and hasn't been a champion since 2021. If by any chance Triple H is bringing back a world championship to Raw, I don't see why not that Drew could compete for a new championship in some sort of tournament or could feud against Austin Theory. I like that. I think Drew is not going to be feuding with Roman. It's probably going to be, I mean, if he ever does again while Roman's champion, I'll be surprised. At least as a serious contender that could take him down. But I like Drew and Austin Theory. I like that matchup. Yes. LA Knight. I don't see why LA Knight couldn't get drafted to Raw. LA Knight he'd be great for Raw in terms of entertainment. He has a presence, he has a persona, and the crowd loves him. And he's got major potential star power. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Number 3, Karrion Kross with Scarlett. I don't see why Karrion Kross and Scarlett could potentially be drafted to Raw. They haven't been doing anything on SmackDown since feuding with Drew McIntyre last year and Rey Mysterio. And together they have potential star power. but they are more than just wrestlers. I agree. I am a Karrion Kross Scarlet fan, and it seems as if they, excuse me, they aren't really doing much with them as of late at all. I think the last active in-ring match we saw with Karrion was at the Battle Royal at WrestleMania. So, yeah, they haven't done exactly a whole lot with him lately, and I think that's a mistake. I think Karrion Kross and LA Knight would be fun. Number 4, Xavier Woods. When has Xavier ever gotten a singles push? To me, at times, it's like Xavier's singles career in WWE has been non-existent because of his connection to the New Day. However, now that Big E is still away and Kofi's still on the injured list, at some point Xavier moving to Raw would be a new start for him as a single star and hopefully be involved in title matches against Austin Theory and whatever major championship comes to Raw. Give Xavier a chance. Look, Xavier's as much as you know, and I mean the world knows at this point that I despise everything the New Day stands for as a group, collectively, from a persona perspective, not a respect or not a in-ring. I would agree that Xavier in-ring is better than we remember or we realize. And I remember him having did he have a Hell in a Cell match with Bobby Lashley? I think that was like the highlight of his career. I mean, he really performed well. When push comes to shove, Xavier can deliver, man. I would agree. It's just that the group that he loves being a part of is also his biggest weakness because it's holding him back from a great singles career. I would agree. And last but not least, and slightly controversial, but I'm going to say that this tag team moves to Raw, and that's the Usos. Wow. Since they lost their tag titles at Mania, it seems like the Usos are at odds with Roman, and the Bloodline have been moving in a different direction. Case in point, Roman's new shirt only has Paul Heyman, the focus for the new look. Bloodline has just been Roman, Solo, and Paul. And who knows, I think that Roman, from a storyline perspective, might be the one to orchestrate this draft or trade in the form of punishment because the Usos were defeated at Mania and they have disgraced their elders and the whole Samoan dynasty. From a storyline perspective, yes, of course, right. And there might be some NXT call-ups like Braun Breaker, Von Wagner, the Creed brothers, Cameron Grimes. Yeah, absolutely, yes. Signing off. Okay, well, I mean, no doubt about it that the Usos coming to Raw would be a huge deal. And if this were a normal year, I would say, sure, it makes sense. Here's the problem. The WWE, with this Bloodline storyline, have stumbled into something that is rare. A storyline like this, a group like this, is rare. It does not come along maybe once in a generation. Seriously. My point in bringing that up is you're not going to kill a storyline for a draft that you know they're not going to even follow their own rules on to begin with and split up the Bloodline because the Usos are a big part of it. And there's stories to tell with Roman and Jay specifically that they need to get to. And if they're on separate shows, unless you're going to just blatantly violate the draft rules, which they certainly aren't scared of doing, then you're going to be otherwise pouring cold water on a feud people want to see, which is Jay and Roman at some point. So I don't know. I don't dislike it. I think it'd be a massive move. That's a bold move. I see why you say controversial. All right. Let's get to our next one here. I think this is our final. Nope. We have two more. This is Jared, and he writes in, he says, "Hello, everyone. This is my second mailbag, although I am counting it as my first since my last one was totally inebriated after having one too many Steve Weisers. You're excused, my friend. You're excused. I want to give a quick shout out to the SmackDown team, Michael Ritter and John. Been digging the live reviews they've been doing. I just wanted to ask, how likely is it that Roman retains until WrestleMania 40? I'm really hoping that at some point they get Seth back in the title picture. He's my favorite active wrestler, so I know I'm biased, but it would just be poetic for him to be finally the one to dethrone Roman, given their history. I just see the atmosphere being electric if those two do clash at WrestleMania 40. That's all I got. Thanks, Matt. Well, thanks, buddy, and no worries about the inebriation. You do what you got to do. But, hey, Seth and Roman, as I mentioned earlier, needs to happen. It's going to happen. It's been a year and change now since they've had any match, any interaction since Rumble 2020. It's Rumble 2022. So it's been a while. It's been a hot minute, as the kids say. And that means that there's loose ends to tie up. The history is deep. It's complex, but it's also unfinished. So does WWE view WrestleMania 40 as the time to do that? I don't think they'd be able. Number one, I don't think they'd be able to help themselves. How would they possibly keep away Seth and Roman if they're on the same brand from April to WrestleMania season next year? That is a tall task. You're asking for a lot of discipline on the part of WWE. Discipline that they do not possess when it comes to drafts that we've all seen, every single draft. So I don't think that they're looking at WrestleMania 40 as Seth Roman. I don't think. Could it absolutely headline? Yes. But I think they have already penciled in whoever his opponent is at WrestleMania 40, which I don't want to say his name. He's like Voldemort to me at this point. It's he who must not be named. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I've banned myself from predicting he's coming back. But you know, okay. If it's him, and he's actually committed and he's saying, no, for real this time, guys, I pinky swear. Well, then, okay, I see. He trumps over everybody. But if it's just an active day-to-day wrestler, Seth Rollins could absolutely fit the bill. He could. And I wouldn't hate Seth being the one to take it off Roman. The argument against it, however, is shouldn't the victory go to somebody that could really use it? An up-and-coming star that they could launch their career with? Because how much would it really help? How much would it really help for Seth to do it? Okay, he does it. Great. Wow. Then what with Seth, right? He's already a made man. It's kind of like The Undertaker losing his streak to Brock. Brock didn't need it. Didn't do anything for Brock's career. Do you look at Brock Lesnar any differently because he beat the streak? No, I don't. Other than just I look at it and go, that was a bad decision. That's it. That's how I still feel about it. Was it the worst decision in wrestling history? No, but I think it cost him a lot of money. Not being able to say Undertaker's undefeated and create a documentary about his undefeated career at WrestleMania and go through all his opponents and interview every opponent if they're still alive, right? I mean, you could have really done a lot. Now, you still could do the 21-0 streak that he had before it became 21-1. But I know I'm diving into something else. But the analogy I'm drawing is it's kind of that same thing. Does Seth really need it? Does it really help him? Or is it just they don't have anybody else, and Seth, they need to get off Roman, and Seth is the guy, in which case I understand. All right. But by the way, to answer your question, I think it's a 60-40 chance that Roman keeps the belt till WrestleMania 40, and he drops it at WrestleMania 40 in Philly. I think that's a 60% chance he does, 40% chance he doesn't, if you're asking me for numbers. Because there's a lot of events. Boy, do we have a lot of massive events to get to, obviously. I mean, we just concluded this Mania. We've got 11 and a half months until the next one. So, we got SummerSlam. We've got the Money in the Bank in the O2 Arena. We've got the Saudi Arabia events, plural, right? We've got Rumble, Survivor Series. I mean, it goes on and on. So, hey, that's my prediction right now. All right. Let's get to, one more. This is from Bo, and he says, "Hey, Matt, this is my first time writing in, and I want to discuss a few things with you. First is Randy Orton. I felt like he was going to return at Mania, but he didn't. When do you think he'll return, and who do you think he'll rival with?" So, yeah, apparently, and I don't know if these reports are purposely being floated out there to get people off the scent of a Randy return. There are reports that Randy apparently is, quote, nowhere near still ready to return, right? He's still nowhere near ready. And yet at the same time, we heard that he arrived in LA and that he's, planning on being sent out to feud with Roman or whoever. And that didn't happen. Didn't materialize. Perhaps he was in LA for WrestleMania and he just was there to support his friends and catch up. And it wasn't there for any in-ring participation. So with that said, when do I think, man, your guess is as good as mine? These reports are, oh, he's ready, he's coming. Oh, wait, no, he's not. How many effing times, and I'm not directing this at you, Bo, but have we heard over the last several months, it's been a trend where we hear one thing for a short period of time and then the exact opposite report comes out and it's like, what is going on? It's so bizarre, and I don't know what it's supposed to mean or who's sending out these reports or if it's intentional misinformation. I don't know. But if you're going to put a gun to my head, when do I think Randy Orton returns? Probably in a month, in time for his Saudi Arabia event against Roman Reigns. I think he's closer than we realize, and I think it's This latest report about Randy is just a red herring to get us off the track and scent of a Randy Orton return. All right. Second, and who are he rival with? Roman Reigns. Second, I was wondering what your favorite part of 2K23 is. I was going to wait for another month for the prices to go down, but before buying it, I wanted to hear a review. Well, I can't give you a full review. To be honest, I mean, I bought the Icon edition because as you said, as I told you guys earlier, I spend money on technology more than I need to. And I always want like the highest grade, the highest edition, or the best technology. It's a sickness. And the amount of money, if I could pull it together, that I've spent unnecessarily on tech that I don't need is, it could pay off my house. But that said, if I was going to give it a grade, I mean, I'd give it like an A-. I mean, it's a really good game. It's a really good game. Easily the best in the 2K series. Now, is it nostalgic like No Mercy or Warzone, right? We're going way back here, right? Or WWF Attitude, or SmackDown versus Raw, the original, or SmackDown versus Raw, Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain. All those legacy awesome games that we all feel fuzzy and warm with because of our youth in which we played it, at least depending on how old you are. It's not like those games, but if you're looking for the future, this is a great game from a visual standpoint. Gameplay is on point. The match types are awesome. The bugs are very few and far between. The attention to detail is crazy. And I have the PS5 version, and it is, I mean, I would absolutely recommend it. Okay. And I'm not getting paid by 2K or WWE to say this. I would highly recommend it. And if you're a wrestling fan and you like video games, do it. Now, would I pay for the Icon edition? No. I mean, if you're more of a casual gamer, you're not going to play it that much, and you don't mind doing some extra legwork to unlock stuff, don't buy the Icon edition. Just do the regular and unlock it yourself. But yes, I'd recommend it. Let's see. I wanted to say a few dream matches that I want you to say who would win. Angelo Dawkins versus Montez Ford. I mean, Montez Ford wins. That's easy for me because Montez Ford is the much bigger star. He may not be the bigger man, but he's the bigger star, which is more important. Belair versus Rhea. Oh, man. But the problem is are the titles on the line? Is this a unification match? Where does it take place? I mean, that's tough. I would say Rhea Ripley wins because she's the hotter hand right now. And it'll probably be by her just cheating to win in that case to protect Belair. Undertaker versus Andre. Ooh. In today, right, so if they both existed in their prime today, Andre the Giant probably wins. Dean Ambrose versus Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley wins that. MJF versus The Rock. Again, both in their prime. I would say the MJF wins because what he can do with a win like that would trump what The Rock could do by beating MJF. The benefit is much higher of MJF winning than The Rock in that one. So MJF wins. And not to brag, but I predicted every single match at Mania against my uncle, who got 9-4, and I got 13-0, excluding the Miz matches. Thank you for making my spring break less boring. Keep your head on tight and have a good night. Yeah, you too, man. You got 13-0. Did you really call every single match? That's impressive if you did. Really impressive, Bo. Good job. I think I got 2 or 3 wrong. So I was like 11-2 or 10-3 or something like that. But nice job. All right. I believe that does conclude our email portion of the show, and I'm double checking here. I've got, let's see, that's it. Yep. So, with that said, we do have some voicemails, and let's get to those voicemails right now.
Hello, WWE podcast. This is Sean from Israel. After a long time again that I didn't do any message due to being a father to my newborn child. I'm not thinking of anything but changing diapers and WrestleMania. That was 2 weeks ago, but it doesn't matter. I'm still here to say what I'm thinking about it. You should know I made a bet with my brother about all the matches, and because of you, I managed to do a tie with him. In the end, he said that Cody is going to win, and I said that Roman Reigns is going to win. And why? It's because of you. That is because I am listening to your podcast, and in your podcast you said it probably absolutely Roman Reigns is going to win. And my brother is listening to another podcast. And in their podcast, they said that no way that Roman Reigns is going to win. And yeah, because of you, I made a tie with my brother. And we'll see how we will break the tie, maybe in a Hell in a Cell match. I don't know. Yeah, so WrestleMania was a great event. Even a little bit better than I anticipated to. Gotta say that the most interesting moment was the match between Kevin, Sammy, and the Usos. And yeah, so the Raw after Mania was weird, but it was great for me because I saw Lesnar beating Cody so bad. It was so great to see this. I wouldn't say about that about Cody, but we don't like him, and I was so happy to see Brock Lesnar beat is so bad. And I think that Vince McMahon is not making control so much, because I saw the last Raw and it wasn't a Raw, it was NXT. I mean, there were so many stars of NXT, and Yoshirai is nominated to the Women's Champion, and Bronson Reed, and we got the Prince Finn Balor, and it was really an NXT show. Interesting to see that. I hope it will be like that in the other shows. And yeah, so that's it, Matt. It was great to see WrestleMania, and I'm looking forward for WrestleMania Backlash, or Backlash, or just Backlash, or WrestleMania. I don't know. Everything's so weird. And bye.
Hey, Sharon, you almost slipped up. On this show, we are only to say Backlash. All right, that's it. You're temporarily banned from the show. So I'm glad I could help you get a tie with your brother. My concern is, however, if you chose picks that I chose that you got wrong and chose them because of me, I don't know how much I helped you just because I got the one match with wrestling, or with Roman and Cody right. So I'm wondering, okay, you tied with him. If you took the picks that I had because of me, then that means you also got some wrong. So if that's the case, then I apologize. But that said, yeah, hey, I'm glad you enjoyed the beatdown of Cody. And I'm glad that you're on the same page with this babyface character. Okay, I think that if I were to ask you, you'd probably say you respect him. You're just not a fan of his babyface character. It's too wholesome sometimes, and I would agree with that. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I'm going to just project that's what you would say. And as far as changing diapers, man, good luck. That is a stage that takes years to get through, and it is a consuming task to have a child, no doubt about it. I hope all's well with your child, and things are going well, and you're getting sleep, and which means you're probably not, right? So, all right, thanks, buddy. Thanks for the feedback. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Let's keep rolling here.
WWE Podcast World, this is DJ Kuzma back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning. And let's get to your favorite show to come in every week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahaan Report. Now, the Veer Mahaan Report took place last night on NXT, but we did not for the upteam time. I'm still waiting for the upteam time. I need to know, when is he coming back, because we did not get an appearance of my guy Veer Mahaan. We did not get an appearance of the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal, and we did not get an appearance of Saga. But to keep up to date as to the whereabouts of my guy Veer Mahaan, he did post on Twitter that he says, "I am coming. See you soon." Just those two short lines to let the fans know, including myself, the absolute diehard of the diehards of the Veer Mahaan Nation, that Veer Mahaan will be returning very shortly. I don't know when, but as I continue to wait, there's so much that's going on in the tag team division. If the in this year, hopefully they feud again with the Creed brothers, or they go up against the other tag teams in NXT, it will be interesting to see about that, because it's going going to be one of those interesting matches that we're going to have because, hey, I like the placement of Veer Mahaan on NXT. He's no longer squashing a whole bunch of nobodies. He is no longer being the castaway on Monday Night Raw. He has a purpose. So all you guys and anybody else that say, oh, why is he always talking about Veer Mahaan? Because I have high hopes for this guy. I love the potential. I love this group. And I like the direction of where he is on NXT. So with that being said, I will sign off right here. This is your boy DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Stay used, my friends. Be kind to one another. And peace.
No, I love the Veer Mahaan report. And I'm not being facetious on that. I really am, because I can guarantee you no other podcast has a Veer Mahaan report. I bet you, I would bet a lot of money that we are the only one that has an exclusive Veer Mahaan report every single week to let all the other listeners know that most likely aren't paying attention to that group with Sangha and Jinder Mahal and Veer Mahaan himself of what's going on and with the Indashir. And I think it's a fun group to follow, and that you're even keeping up on his Twitter feed. That's another level, right? And the fact that he said he's coming soon is encouraging. And it has been, several weeks now since they've made an appearance. So I don't know if they're getting ready to return to NXT or perhaps a call up. Perhaps. You know, I've projected that forward a few times now, and I've said it prior to WrestleMania that they're probably going to make a debut Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania at the earliest, but probably more in the spring or summertime. And so that's my hope, because that's where the ultimate success is going to be for them. I mean, they can max out in NXT and do a great job, but let's be honest, the ceiling there is a little bit tighter than it is on Raw or SmackDown, which is where the real money is made and the real stars are made. And they may get their start in NXT, no doubt, and it's an important and very important and valuable piece to the training and development of stars. But the real success, of course, is going to be on Raw or SmackDown, where the lights are brighter, the audience is bigger, and all the rest. So thank you. No, I really, it's cool to hear the Veer Mahaan report every week to keep me updated too, because I don't follow it, just like I'm guessing most of us. So anybody that's giving you crap for talking about Veer Mahaan all the time, well, I would challenge them. Hey, who else is talking about him? Right? You're going to be the one looking like the smartest person in the room when he becomes a big star. So, all right. Anyway, let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, Matt. This is Mike from Connecticut chiming in, and I was just listening to your weekend review, and I wanted to pick your brain on something. You were just talking about the takeover or the buyout of the WWE, and I was reading some information that the company that is acquiring them with UFC is going to be 51% in charge, or in ownership, I should say, of the company once they merge, and they're going to be a public company for stockholders. I was curious because that's pretty much the exact same thing that happened in WCW when Time Warner and AOL merged. Ted Turner lost pretty much a lot of his creative control, and that's when you saw WCW really fall off, and it was pretty quick. When that merger came across and happened, it was pretty much overnight. When WCW, they brought in Vince Russo, and their product went from pretty good, and which ultimately resulted in them going out of business and Vince acquiring them. So the numbers are pretty much the same thing, because that company, when Time Warner and AOL took over, they had 51% of ownership of Ted Turner's organization, which resulted in them saying, I don't want wrestling on our product, even though it was the most highly rated product on their television system. So I don't know. Does history repeat itself? Because it's the same story over 20 plus years later. So we'll see what happens. Just wanted your input on that. Have a great night, and you guys keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing a really good job. Appreciate everything you do. Take care.
Hey, Mike, very astute observation. I didn't draw that analogy or comparison, rather. And I think your fears of this being a repeat of history with WCW being bought out and the whole company going to hell very quickly after, AOL and the merger and all that. I think that's where the similarities end, is that they had, Time Warner had 51% control and Ted Turner gave it over. And once Eric Bischoff came in and Vince Russo came in, all that. I think that's where the similarities end, though, because Endeavor is a well-established, very well-funded organization that is in this business already, in the entertainment business, where AOL and Time Warner were not. To this extent, this specific type of entertainment. I mean, UFC under the Endeavor umbrella is somewhat similar to WWE. Obviously, the competitiveness is different, of course. Oh, one's real, one's fake, right? To really boil it down to just simpleton terms. I'm not saying you're a simpleton. I'm saying just to really, but that's where my brain's at, guys. I'm very tired. But this is an organization that I think is going to be very successful. They've got UFC, which is a worldwide renowned brand under the Endeavor umbrella. And sure, they have control over WWE from a administration and financial standpoint of owning 51%, which means they have control. And they can appoint who they want in creative. They can really just kind of say whatever they want in terms of who goes where, and if Vince is in creative control and all that. So I'm glad you brought that up too, because I just had an interview with a CNBC reporter earlier today that she's doing an article regarding the merger, and she knows more of the business side of it than I do. I mean, I've read reports and I know generally what's going on, but she interviewed me about a fan's perspective and what my listeners have been saying or their concerns, and I generally said that, well, most fans aren't investors, so from a fan's perspective, I think the bottom line for us is great storytelling. The creative end of things is what most fans want to make sure is intact. And but to your point about the business end of things, I really am not that concerned. As foolish as it may be for Vince to be in creative, he's still an astute businessman. I don't think he would sell it to a company, sell his firstborn of WWE, his life's work to a company that he thought was going to fail or had a chance of failing. And I don't think they do. They have, the stock prices have never been higher. And it does make a whole lot of sense. They sold it for an immense profit. By the way, Endeavor paid a premium to have that creative control. And so they didn't just get it with Vince going, yeah, no problem, right? Like they had to pay a big premium to get that 51% versus WWE's 49%. And so I don't see a history repeating itself here. The same players obviously are not in the room here. It's a similar situation, but also radically different because of the type of industry that Endeavor's already in, the experience they already have, the success they've already had and continue to have, and especially with UFC also there. Don't forget UFC's there, right? UFC is a massive brand, and they're not going anywhere, and I don't think they would make the same mistakes either. I'm sure they learned from history, right? So, all right, good question, though. Thank you, buddy. Let's continue.
Alex, the French guy here, your current and still European champion. Me, Alex, the French guy. And Dennis McGinley was unsuccessful to obtain my European championship. New York Kyle, you're next. I heard your challenge. We will have a match, I don't know, but in the following weeks. So don't worry about that. You will get the European hand too. Also, Matt, maybe you heard my previous voicemail, but I don't know.
All right, Alex, I had to cut your voicemail short, and I got your other voicemail, but that also was all scrambled. After I only cut it off because after what you said, everything got kind of muffled, and it didn't come out very clear. So I had to cut it short. So I really don't know what the rest of your message said. However, I'm glad you are still European champion, and so email us. All right, maybe I'll be able to get that on next week or something, or just check your connection. Something definitely was wrong. So hope all is well. I try to get you on the show, even if it was in a limited capacity, and glad to hear you retained your championship. Let's get to our next one.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about the turn from Trish to Becky. It was fine. I would hope when they do the match, it will be a good match, and I hope that Becky is in the ring, but Trish hasn't been in a big singles match since her match with Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam 2018, so we'll see how that works. I'm glad Becky is going to be a singles wrestler. I guess that's good. And Io Sky facing Bianca Belair, that could be fun too, and may turn Io babyface because Damage Control is going to be over soon, and that's going to be great. So I'm intrigued how that feud between Bianca and Io is going to be for the championship, but that's it. That's really much it. What do you think about those two scenarios? The way you think they could go in both women's feuds heading into Backlash? That's the match is going to happen at. But that's it. Thanks for my call. Bye.
Hey, Kyle. So a couple quick questions here that you had. And as far as Trish's turn goes, I loved it. And it also tells you that Trish feels like she has much more in the tank. Again, if you turn a part-time wrestler heel and they don't just come in for their greatest hits and leave, which we see so many times, then they've got a longer-term plan. I mean, you don't just turn a big star heel that's a legacy star that doesn't have a ton of days ahead of them in the ring. If they didn't at least have a solid plan moving forward for a more significant run than you otherwise would have thought, and then it's just WrestleMania season, they're here for the one match and leave. And we still may get Trish and Lita. What about Trish versus Lita, as we talked about earlier, right? I don't know if you'd like to see that, but yeah, Trish versus Becky, certainly going to be a fun match, and I'm sure that they'll deliver. You know, I think that Trish is in amazing shape. Credit to her for staying in shape for all these years. And I think it's going to be fun. You know, I really do. And as far as the second question you had about Io Sky, yeah, look, we all know she's not going to win. That match is set up simply for the dissolution of Damage Control, that of which zero people will shed a tear over. I mean, it's been the most underperforming group maybe in the history of, well, that's a little overdone. It's been a very underwhelming group that no one's going to care when they break apart. In fact, it would be to the benefit of all of the women if they did. So that said, I think, yes, it is there's no chance of Io Sky winning, but it's really just to set up Bayley turning on Io, and then you get an Io versus Bayley match, maybe at the Saudi event or later on. So thanks, buddy. Let's continue.
Hey, Matt, it's New York Kyle. If you hear a lot of wind, by the way, in the background, I'm actually at work outside right now. But the reason why I'm calling is I was listening to your Raw review right now, actually, while I'm working. So I thought of a reason to call you, and I'm calling the mailbag. I'm listening to this. I have some answers to your questions. One, Sol Sikoa, the last time we talked, if I remember correctly, is when he was singing of Sami Zayn for a little bit in the Bloodline. He talked a little bit. Yeah, he talked on his first promo, on the main roster when he debuted, on SmackDown after Clash at the Castle. He talked a lot at NXT too when he was North American champion. He talked a lot on that show too. And also, Io Sky, I'm glad you won that triple threat. I think the Bayley betrayal is coming. Io Sky was a great NXT Women's Champion. She was a great single star NXT, so happy about that. Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed, I think we're getting a false count anywhere match at Backlash since it was a double count out. So that's probably happening. Also, the flight delay, from what I've heard, reports of, that was actually legit. But I agree with you, why aren't Kevin and Sammy on the same plane? But Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle, their flight delay was legit. I think the other two people that also had delays that didn't make it to the show was Austin Theory, that's why he was on the show, and Bianca Belair. So that answers your question on why she didn't come out. She was also delayed. For some reason, a bunch of people got delayed on flights to Seattle or something. That's what I've heard. I don't know. But they were the other two, Austin Theory and Bianca Belair. That's why she wasn't there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to get back to work. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Hey, Kyle, get back to work, man. What are you doing? You're letting this show interfere with your productivity. But no, I appreciate that. And I did see follow up after my Raw review. I'm like, oh, I guess it was legit for some people missing the show. Again, Sammy and Riddle obviously were there the whole time, and they just made it look like they just made it to Raw to make the save in time to save Kevin Owens from being, crucified in the ring. But no, I'm glad that you pointed out again that the reason that Bianca wasn't there because of flight delays, that's a big deal, right? And I thought she just wasn't there because I had nothing for her, but that wasn't the case. And that makes total sense. Same with Austin Theory. So they had 2 champions not be able to make it. And that's a big deal, and it doesn't happen often that you have those flight cancellations or delays or travel conundrums that prevent the stars from being on the show. That doesn't happen often. I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's unfair to obviously criticize somebody for something that's out of their control. So, good stuff. Thank you, Kyle. And don't let me get you in trouble at work. All right, final voicemail. Let's do it.
Hey, Matt, this is Randy from LA. Calling this week. I didn't get to call you last week right after WrestleMania, but I actually attended WrestleMania night 2, and I wanted to throw something out there real quick. Being in the crowd there for night 2, I wanted to say that the largest pop of the night, believe it or not, was actually for Sheamus. Sheamus was literally the most over with the crowd, at least from my perspective, being there. Every time Sheamus did something, every time he made a move, every time he came out on top on something, I mean, the crowd was going crazy for Sheamus. Just want to throw that out there. The next second pop, probably, in my opinion, was actually 50-50 between Cody and Roman during the main event. And then, believe it or not, I'm forgetting what I was going to say. Asuka had Bianca in some sort of submission move, and the crowd was going wild for it. Yet every time Bianca did anything, absolute, quiet, just almost sort of an indifferent attitude towards Bianca. So just wanted to throw that out there. Some of the what it was like being there live and the atmosphere of the crowd. Also, actually, the Demon Finn Balor, he had a pretty strong reaction for the crowd, especially when he made his way to the ring. And, they played his music, and then the whole crowd did the hands up thing, and then Finn Balor turns around, does the hands up again. That really popped with the crowd as well. But just wanted to throw that out there, just being there, found it really interesting who got some of the biggest pops. And then also, my second thing that I just kind of want to make a comment about is the Raw women's number 1 contender match that Io Sky won the other night. Kind of drives me crazy because it makes, you look and you're like, what did Piper Niven, who's done absolutely nothing recently, and Mia Yim, who's done even less, although I feel like she has some really untapped potential there, but what did they do to even get in the match to fight to be the number 1 contender? Oh my goodness, I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with me. Good match, but a couple of those ladies had no business being there. All right, man. Have a good week. Thank you.
Hey, Randy, I'm glad you brought that in-person perspective to me. And to answer your last question first, because I'll forget, they existed. That's what they did. That's why they earned that opportunity. They just existed. Kind of like the women's tag team division. They just exist, and they automatically get a title shot. But in reality, I mean, not only did they exist, but they also needed a couple of people that didn't have a whole lot going on, give them some ring time, even though, of course, they're not going to win. It's about Io Sky. And they did. They had Io Sky win, but we aren't going to get that level of detail from WWE. They just throw people in randomly sometimes, and there's no explanation. And they would tell us, well, if we were to explain every little thing that we did, we'd box ourselves and book ourselves into a corner. It's not the level of detail that most fans care about. Like, that's the runaround we'd get, right? Which is just called lazy storytelling. However, I wasn't mad about it, but I did think it did cross my mind as well. That I'm like, wait, so what? Why are they even eligible for a number 1 contendership? What have they done exactly? Again, the answer is they just exist as women in the division. So that's it. Also is kind of a sad state of affairs, though, that when you earn number 1 contenderships opportunities, if you have a division that thin, that those are the kinds of situations you're in, it's more of a representation of where the division's at, and I think bolstering the women's division from NXT or elsewhere, or shaking things up with the draft is what you're going to need, and I think they'll help that out with the draft. I'm glad, the Sheamus reaction surprises me. I heard it from what I remember. The Sheamus pop was big. I didn't know if it was the biggest of the night. I would imagine the reason for that is not because LA is so pro Sheamus, but more of the international fans coming over from the UK. I mean, it's got to be the reason, right? Because it's a very multinational, international, very kind of melting pot crowd, and very heavy on UK representation. So I would imagine that that's the reason, one of the reasons that Sheamus got the biggest pop of the night. I'm glad you provided that, though. That's really cool. I did not expect that. And also the the apathy towards Bianca Belair. Yeah, when she put holds in and then Asuka gets a massive pop. That's just, that's how we kind of felt generally with Bianca Belair heading into WrestleMania. It's kind of meh. It's like, right? We were just, she's just there as champion, kind of holding the belt and not evolving at all. And she's skipping and twirling and, smiling her way to the ring like she's, playing hopscotch at recess. It's the best way I can put it. And I think someone like her, I know that they're trying to relate, and I don't mean to go on a Bianca rant because she's an amazing athlete, and I think she is the best pure athlete WWE has in the women's division. But if she's ever to reach her full potential, and I think she has much more in her, she needs to drop the act that she's trying to get with the kids. And I know that she's trying to relate to the younger female audience, particularly, right? The younger black audience. That's fine. It's cool. All right? Like, I get it. And she's done that. But I think if you're ever to reach your full maximum potential, especially with Bianca, as a grown-ass woman, you can't be twirling and skipping to the ring. I'm sorry. It takes me out of the moment from who and what you really are. You're a badass athlete, stronger than some of the men, I would venture to say, on the roster. You're over, but you're not as over as you could be, and I think it just takes an adjustment. And what that adjustment is, here's the solution. Heel turn. It won't be the cure-all, but it's a hell of a starting point, because then the skipping and the hair twirling and all the nonsense, and that goes away. Okay? That goes away because you're not trying to make people smile anymore. So I don't know if they're going to want to do that immediately, but it's got to come. I think that would reinvigorate her character big time and take her to that next level. So, all right. Well, thank you, Randy. Thank you to everybody, all the callers, all the emailers. As always, you guys make this show what it is. If you guys want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at wrestling_audio. Or if you want to join us on Patreon, patreon.com/WWE podcast. Entry level is $1. It gets you everything ad-free. But if you want to go up in tier and hear about the topics that are X and R rated that we cover in the After Dark podcast, you got to go to the SmackDown tier and above, which last night I dropped one about aliens and Bigfoot and my own experience with ghosts, and kind of an interesting story I shared from my youth that I think you'll enjoy if you're into such things. And I also did earlier in the week, I did a adult version of Would You Rather, and that was a little bit dirty. So if you're interested in that, check it out. It's only on Patreon for those on the SmackDown tier and higher. And speaking of which, I do also want to give a shout out to our latest patron who have joined us there on that tier, and that's Eric Trombley. So thank you, Eric, for joining us there. I hope you enjoy everything ad-free and all the extra benefits. So, all right. Consider giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, or just going ad-free on Apple Podcasts. That's available to you too with a 7-day free trial, or wwepodcast.com. Go VIP there. That does it for me. Thank you guys for a fun week. We're rolling to Backlash. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.